The sun was setting over the small town of Willow Creek, casting long shadows across the quiet streets. It was an ordinary evening until a strange sound filled the air, a low hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. People stepped out of their homes, looking up at the sky with puzzled expressions. The hum grew louder, and then they saw it, a massive object descending slowly through the clouds. It wasn't like anything anyone had ever seen before. The craft shimmered in the fading sunlight, its surface smooth and metallic, but not quite solid, as if it were made of liquid metal frozen in place. As it hovered above the town square, people began to gather, pointing and whispering nervously. Some clutched their phones, recording the scene, while others held their children close, unsure what to expect. The ship finally touched down gently, without making a sound or causing any damage. For a moment, nothing happened. The crowd waited anxiously, their breaths visible in the cool evening air. Then two figures emerged from the edge of the gathering. One was a tall man with short brown hair and a calm demeanor. His name was Alex Carter. Beside him stood a woman with curly blonde hair and sharp green eyes. Her name was Emma Lewis. Alex raised his hands to signal for calm. "Everyone, please stay back," he said in a steady voice. "We're here to help." "Who are you?" shouted a man in the crowd. He wore a flannel shirt and looked more annoyed than scared. "My name is Alex, and this is Emma," Alex replied. "We're part of an organization called the Guardians. We've been monitoring this situation closely." Before anyone could ask another question, the alien ship's surface shifted. A section of it slid open silently, revealing three figures stepping out into the twilight. They were tall, much taller than humans, and their bodies glowed faintly beneath translucent skin. Their faces lacked distinct features, but their eyes shimmered like stars. No one spoke as the beings moved forward, stopping just a few feet away from the crowd. One of the aliens tilted its head slightly, then spoke, not with words, but directly into everyone's minds. "We mean no harm," the voice echoed. "We seek refuge." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Refuge? From where? Why here? Questions buzzed in the air, but Alex quickly stepped forward again. "These beings call themselves the Valens," he explained. "They've traveled far to escape their dying planet. They need our help." Emma added softly, "And we never kill humans." Her words hung in the air, both comforting and unsettling. A young boy tugged on his mother's sleeve, asking why the aliens didn't talk like normal people. An older man muttered something about government conspiracies under his breath. Despite the confusion, most people stayed quiet, watching the glowing figures with a mix of awe and fear. Jake Miller, a burly mechanic known for being outspoken, pushed his way to the front of the crowd. "How do we know we can trust them?" he demanded, glaring at Alex and Emma. "For all we know, you two could be working with them." Alex met Jake's gaze steadily. "If we wanted to hurt you, we would have done so already. But that's not why we're here. Our job is to protect humanity, not just from threats, but also by helping when we can." Jake crossed his arms, unconvinced, but he didn't argue further. Instead, he turned and walked away, muttering to himself. Others began to disperse slowly, though many lingered, unwilling to leave the surreal scene behind. As night fell, the townspeople returned to their homes, buzzing with theories and fears. Alex and Emma stayed near the ship, keeping watch. Though they appeared confident, there was a tension between them, a shared understanding that this was only the beginning. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they knew one thing for certain. Protecting humanity wouldn't be easy, but they had promised themselves, and the universe, that they would always stand by their creed. They never killed humans. Not now. Not ever. The next morning, the town of Willow Creek woke up to an uneasy silence. The alien ship still stood in the center of the square, its smooth surface gleaming under the pale sunlight. A small group of curious onlookers had gathered around it again, keeping their distance but unable to look away. Alex and Emma were already there, standing near the craft as if guarding it, or perhaps guarding the townspeople from it. The Valens hadn't moved since the night before. They remained outside their ship, standing motionless like statues. Their glowing forms seemed less intimidating in the daylight, almost peaceful, but peace was the last thing on everyone's minds. Rumors spread quickly through the town. Some people believed the aliens were harmless refugees, while others thought they might be spies or invaders waiting for the right moment to strike. Emma knelt beside a device she placed on the ground earlier that morning. It looked like a small black box with blinking lights and wires running out of it. She adjusted a dial, then glanced up at Alex. "Their energy readings are stable," she said quietly. "But I'm picking up something unusual inside the ship." "What kind of unusual?" Alex asked, his brow furrowing. "I'm not sure yet," Emma admitted. "It could be nothing." Or, she trailed off, her voice trailing into uncertainty. Before Alex could respond, one of the Valens stepped forward. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it didn't want to startle anyone. When it stopped a few feet away, it tilted its head slightly, studying them. Then came the voice again, soft and clear in their minds. "We wish to speak." Alex nodded. "Go ahead." "Our journey has been long," the Valen continued. "Our world is dying. We seek a new home where we can live in harmony with others." Emma exchanged a glance with Alex. Harmony sounded nice, but trust didn't come easily when dealing with strangers, especially ones who weren't human. "Why did you choose Earth?" she asked aloud, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer wouldn't satisfy her. "Your planet is rich in resources," the Valen replied, "and your species shows potential for growth." "Potential?" Jake Miller scoffed from behind them. He'd returned to the scene, arms crossed and scowl firmly in place. "That's just fancy talk for saying you think we're weak." The Valen turned its shimmering gaze toward Jake. "We do not see weakness. We see opportunity for both our peoples." Jake rolled his eyes but said nothing more. Instead, he turned and walked away, muttering under his breath about how this whole situation was nonsense. Others in the crowd shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to believe the alien's words or share Jake's skepticism. As the day wore on, some townspeople began approaching the Valens cautiously. A young girl named Lily Harper even stepped close enough to touch one of their hands. Her mother gasped and pulled her back quickly, but Lily giggled. "They're warm," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Alex watched the interaction carefully, noting how the Valens reacted, or rather, didn't react. They simply stood there, patient and unmoving, as if waiting for humanity to decide what came next. It was strange, almost too calm. Something about it made him uneasy. Later that afternoon, Emma pulled Alex aside. "I've been thinking," she said, lowering her voice so no one else could hear. "If these Valens really are refugees, why haven't they tried harder to explain themselves? Why all the vague answers? Maybe they don't know how to communicate with us effectively," Alex suggested. "Or maybe they're hiding something." Emma frowned. "Either way, we need to figure out what's going on inside that ship. Whatever they're carrying, it's powerful, and if it falls into the wrong hands." She didn't finish the sentence, but Alex understood. Powerful things had a way of causing trouble, whether wielded by humans or aliens. For now, though, they had no choice but to keep watching, waiting, and hoping that the Valens truly meant what they said. As dusk fell once more, Alex found himself staring at the glowing figures. They looked so different from humans, yet somehow familiar in their quiet determination. He whispered softly to himself, repeating the words that guided everything he did. "We never kill humans." It was a promise he intended to keep, no matter what challenges lay ahead. By the third day, tensions in Willow Creek were starting to boil over. The initial awe of the Valens' arrival had worn off, replaced by suspicion and fear. People whispered about the aliens behind closed doors, questioning their motives and whether they could really be trusted. Jake Miller was at the center of it all, his loud voice echoing through the diner where a group of townsfolk had gathered. "They're hiding something," Jake insisted, slamming his hand on the table for emphasis. "You don't just show up out of nowhere and expect us to roll out the welcome mat. What if they're lying? What if they're planning something?" A few heads nodded in agreement, but others looked unsure. Sarah Bennett, a schoolteacher who rarely spoke up, raised her hand hesitantly. "But what reason do they have to lie? They haven't hurt anyone. They said they need help." "Help," Jake snorted. "That's what they want you to think. For all we know, those two so-called guardians are working with them. Alex and Emma. They show up out of nowhere too. Who even are they? Did anyone ask for ID?" His words planted seeds of doubt in the room. Some people shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other as if wondering the same thing. Jake wasn't done yet. "And what about that ship? Have you seen how big it is? There's no way it's just carrying a handful of refugees. Something's going on inside there, and nobody's telling us the truth." Outside the diner, Alex and Emma stood near the alien craft, watching the crowd grow larger around them. Word had spread about Jake's accusations, and more people were showing up to voice their concerns or their anger. A man shouted from the back of the group, demanding answers. A woman held her child tightly, glaring at the Valens as if expecting them to attack at any moment. Emma leaned closer to Alex, keeping her voice low. "This isn't good. If things keep escalating like this, someone's going to do something reckless. We can't let that happen." Alex replied firmly. "Our job is to protect both sides, not just humans, but the Valens too. If we lose control here, it could end badly for everyone." Before they could say more, one of the Valens stepped forward. Its movements were calm, almost soothing, but the crowd flinched anyway. The glowing being tilted its head slightly, then spoke into their minds. "We understand your fears, but we are not your enemy." Jake pushed his way to the front of the crowd again, pointing an accusing finger at the alien. "That's easy for you to say. You're the ones with the big shiny ship and the secrets. How do we know you're not planning to take over?" The Valen paused, as if considering the question. Then it responded, "We seek only survival. Your species has much to offer: resources, knowledge, compassion. We wish to learn from you, not harm you." "Compassion," Jake spat. "You think we're just gonna hand everything over because you asked nicely? This isn't some fairy tale." Emma stepped forward, raising her hands to calm the growing unrest. "Everyone, please, listen. The Valens came here seeking refuge. They've shown no signs of aggression. If we react out of fear instead of understanding, we risk destroying the trust we've built so far." Her words did little to ease the tension. Some people muttered under their breath, while others openly argued with her. In the chaos, Alex noticed something unusual, a faint flicker of light coming from inside the ship. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but it caught his attention. He glanced at Emma, who was still trying to reason with the crowd. "Emma," he said quietly, pulling her aside. "Did you see that? Inside the ship, there's something happening." Emma frowned, following his gaze. "I saw it too. Whatever it is, it's new. We need to check it out." As night fell, the two guardians slipped away from the restless crowd and approached the ship. The Valens didn't stop them, though one of them watched silently as Alex and Emma stepped closer. The air felt heavier near the craft, charged with an energy that made their skin tingle. Inside, they found strange symbols glowing on the walls, pulsing in rhythm with the hum of the ship's core. Alex reached out cautiously, touching one of the panels. Instantly, images flashed before his eyes. Scenes of destruction, battles fought among stars, and a planet crumbling into dust. He pulled his hand back quickly, his heart racing. "What was that?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Alex admitted, shaken. But I think we're dealing with more than just refugees. The weight of the discovery settled heavily between them. Whatever the Valens were hiding, it was bigger and possibly more dangerous than either of them had imagined. The next morning, Alex and Emma met in a quiet corner of the town square, away from prying eyes. The images Alex had seen inside the Valen ship still haunted him. He described them to Emma as vividly as he could. The battles among the stars, the crumbling planet, and the sense of desperation that had radiated from the glowing symbols. Emma listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each word. "This changes everything," she said finally, her voice low. "If the Valens are refugees, they're not just running from a dying world. They're running from something, or someone, much worse." "But why didn't they tell us?" Alex asked, frustration creeping into his tone. "They'd been here for days, and all they'd done is give vague answers. If they're really in danger, shouldn't they be honest about it?" Emma shook her head. "Maybe they don't trust us yet, or maybe they're trying to protect us. Either way, we can't ignore what we saw. We need to find out more." As they spoke, one of the Valens approached them. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it sensed their unease. When it stopped a few feet away, it tilted its head slightly, studying them. Then came the familiar voice in their minds. "You have questions." Alex hesitated, unsure how much to say. "Yes," he admitted finally. "We saw something inside your ship, images of war and destruction. Is that why you left your planet?" The Valen paused, its glowing form dimming slightly, as if saddened by the memory. "Our past is troubled," it replied. "Long ago, our people fought among the stars, seeking power and control. Many worlds suffered because of us. But we changed. We vowed to seek peace and harmony instead." Emma crossed her arms, her sharp green eyes narrowing. "That's a nice story, but it doesn't explain what we saw. Those images weren't ancient history. They looked recent. Are you still at war? Is that why you're here?" The Valen didn't answer immediately. For a moment, it seemed to hesitate, its shimmering form flickering faintly. Then it spoke again. "Not all of our kind embrace peace. Some factions resist change. They hunt us, believing we are weak for turning away from conflict." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. "So you're not just refugees, you're fugitives." "In a way, yes," the Valen admitted. "But we mean no harm to your people. We only wish to survive." Before Alex or Emma could respond, a commotion broke out nearby. Jake Miller and a group of townspeople had returned, their voices loud and angry. Jake carried a crowbar in one hand, pointing it accusingly at the Valens. "Enough of this nonsense," he shouted. "We want answers, and we want them now." The crowd pressed closer, their fear giving way to hostility. One man picked up a rock, clutching it tightly. A woman yelled something about protecting their families. The situation was spiraling out of control. Emma stepped forward quickly, raising her hands to calm the crowd. "Everyone, please. Attacking them won't solve anything. Let us handle this." "Handle it," Jake snapped. "You've been handling it for days, and look where that's gotten us. They're hiding things, and you're covering for them." Alex moved to stand beside Emma, his voice firm but steady. "We're not covering for anyone. We're trying to understand what's going on, just like you. But violence isn't the answer." Jake sneered. "And what if they attack first? Are you gonna stop them then?" The Valens remained silent, watching the scene unfold with an almost eerie patience. Their glowing forms didn't move, but Alex noticed something subtle, a faint ripple of light passing between them, as if they were communicating silently. It made him uneasy, but he couldn't focus on that now. The crowd was getting louder, angrier. Suddenly, a young boy pushed his way through the throng. It was Lily Harper, the same girl who had touched one of the Valens earlier. She held a small flower in her hand and walked straight up to the nearest alien, holding it out shyly. "Here," she said softly. "It's pretty." For a moment, the tension broke. The Valen knelt slowly, taking the flower with care. Its glowing hand hovered over hers, and Lily smiled. Some of the townspeople exchanged glances, their anger softening just a little. Emma seized the opportunity. "This is who we are," she said, her voice carrying over the murmurs. "We're scared, yes, but we're also capable of kindness. That's what makes us human, and that's what we need to remember right now." Jake scowled but lowered his crowbar. The crowd began to disperse, though grumbles of discontent lingered in the air. As the chaos faded, Alex turned to Emma, his expression grim. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "If there are hostile Valens out there, they'll come for these ones eventually, and when they do, we'll have to be ready." Emma nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Then we'd better start preparing." The days that followed were tense but quieter. The townspeople kept their distance from the Valens, though whispers of suspicion still lingered in every corner of Willow Creek. Alex and Emma worked tirelessly to maintain peace, patrolling the area around the alien ship and answering questions from anyone brave enough to approach them. Despite their efforts, trust was fragile, like a thin sheet of ice that could crack at any moment. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lily Harper wandered away from her house. Her mother had been busy talking with neighbors about the aliens, and Lily, feeling ignored, decided to explore on her own. She had always been curious about the glowing beings and their strange ship. With a sense of adventure only a child could muster, she made her way toward the town square. The Valen ship loomed ahead, its surface shimmering faintly under the moonlight. Lily hesitated for a moment, then stepped closer. The ground felt warm beneath her feet, almost inviting. She reached out tentatively, touching the smooth metal-like surface. To her surprise, it rippled slightly, like water responding to her touch. A small section slid open noiselessly, revealing a narrow entrance. Lily's eyes widened with wonder. "Wow," she whispered to herself. Without thinking twice, she stepped inside. Inside the ship, everything was alive with light. Walls pulsed softly, casting a gentle glow that illuminated the strange corridors. Symbols floated in the air, shifting and changing as if they were alive. Lily giggled, reaching out to touch one. It dissolved into tiny sparks that danced around her fingers before disappearing. Meanwhile, back in town, someone noticed Lily was missing. Her mother, Sarah Harper, panicked when she couldn't find her daughter anywhere. She ran outside, calling Lily's name. A neighbor heard her cries and joined in, and soon half the town was searching. Jake Miller was among them, his usual scowl replaced by genuine concern. Alex and Emma were alerted quickly when they arrived at the scene. Sarah was frantic. "Lily's gone," she sobbed. "She wouldn't just run off. She must have gone to see the aliens." Emma's heart sank. "The ship," she said urgently to Alex. "We need to check it." They hurried to the craft, finding the entrance still slightly ajar. Alex pulled out a small device from his pocket, a scanner designed to detect life signs. He activated it, and the screen lit up immediately. "There's someone inside," he confirmed. "Human." Without hesitation, they entered the ship. The interior was unlike anything they'd seen before. Advanced technology blended seamlessly with organic elements. Lights guided their path, almost as if the ship itself wanted them to follow. They moved cautiously, calling Lily's name. "Lily," Emma called, her voice echoing softly. "Are you here?" A small giggle answered her. They turned a corner and found Lily sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by floating symbols. She looked up at them, completely unafraid. "Hi," she said cheerfully. "Isn't this cool?" Alex knelt beside her, relief washing over him. "Lily, sweetheart, you can't be here. It's not safe." "But it's so pretty," she protested, pointing at the glowing symbols. "They're like magic." Emma smiled gently, holding out her hand. "Come on, let's go home. Your mom is very worried about you." Lily hesitated but finally took Emma's hand. As they stood, The ship seemed to react. The lights dimmed slightly, and the symbols began to fade. It was as if the craft knew they were leaving. When they emerged from the ship, Sarah rushed forward, tears streaming down her face. She scooped Lily into her arms, hugging her tightly. "Don't ever do that again," she cried, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Mommy," Lily said sheepishly. "But look what I found." She held up a small glowing orb, an object she must have picked up inside the ship. Emma exchanged a glance with Alex, both of them uneasy. Whatever the orb was, it wasn't meant to leave the ship. Still, now wasn't the time to ask questions. The crowd that had gathered watched silently, some relieved, others wary. Later that night, after the town had settled down, Alex and Emma examined the orb carefully. It pulsed faintly in Emma's hand, emitting a soft hum. "This isn't just decoration," Alex said, his brow furrowed. "It's part of their technology." Emma nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think Lily knows what she took?" "Probably not," Alex replied. "But the Valens will notice it's missing. And when they do—" He didn't finish the sentence. Both of them knew this discovery would complicate things further. For now, all they could do was keep the orb safe and hope its absence wouldn't spark another crisis. The next morning, Alex and Emma decided to return the glowing orb to the Valens. They knew keeping it hidden wasn't an option. It was too important, too clearly a part of the aliens' technology. But they also knew this wouldn't be an easy conversation. The Valens had been patient so far, but how would they react to learning that a human child had wandered into their ship and taken something valuable? As they approached the craft, one of the Valens stepped forward. Its glowing form shimmered faintly in the sunlight, and its head tilted slightly as if sensing their unease. "You are troubled," it said, its voice calm but probing. Emma held out the orb, her hand steady despite the weight of the moment. "We need to explain something," she began. "Last night, a child entered your ship. She didn't mean any harm. She was curious. But she took this." The Valen's glow dimmed slightly, and for a moment, it simply stared at the orb. Then it extended a hand, taking it gently. "This is a fragment of our core system," it explained. "It holds energy vital to our survival." Alex swallowed hard. "We're sorry this happened. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again." The Valen paused, as if considering their words. Then it responded, "Children are naturally curious. This is not unusual. But your people must understand, they cannot enter our ship without permission. It is not safe." Emma nodded quickly. "We understand. We'll do everything we can to keep everyone away." Before they could say more, the Valen spoke again, its tone shifting slightly. "There is another matter you should know. Factions among our kind, the ones who hunt us, are closer than we thought. Their ships may arrive soon." A chill ran down Alex's spine. "How soon?" "Days, perhaps less." The Valen's voice carried no panic, only quiet urgency. "If they find us here, they will not hesitate to attack, and they will not care about your people." Emma exchanged a glance with Alex, both of them realizing the gravity of the situation. The fragile peace they'd worked so hard to maintain was about to be tested in ways they hadn't anticipated. Later that day, Emma sat alone in the small room they'd set up as a command center. She pulled out a tablet-like device and began sifting through classified files from the Guardian's database. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen, searching for anything related to the Valens. What she found made her stomach sink. The Valens weren't just refugees fleeing war. They were once the aggressors. Centuries ago, they had been a ruthless species, conquering planets and wiping out civilizations in their quest for dominance. Eventually, a faction within their society rebelled, seeking to end the bloodshed and embrace peace. But even after their vow to change, whispers of violence followed them. Some believed the Valens couldn't truly escape their violent past. Emma closed the file, her mind racing. Was this why the hostile factions were hunting them? Were they punishing the peaceful Valens for abandoning their old ways? Or was there something else, something darker, at play? She found Alex outside, pacing near the edge of the square. When he saw her face, he stopped. "What's wrong?" "I did some digging," Emma said quietly, "about the Valens. Their history. It's worse than we thought. They used to be conquerors, destroyers." Alex frowned. "But they changed. That's what they told us." "Yes, but what if the ones hunting them don't believe that? Or what if they're afraid the peaceful Valens might go back to their old ways?" Emma shook her head. "I don't know what to think anymore. Are we protecting victims or harboring former monsters?" Alex sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It doesn't matter now. We made a promise to protect humanity and to help those in need. If these Valens are truly trying to change, then we owe it to them to stand by them." "But at what cost?" Emma asked softly. "If their enemies come here, innocent people could get hurt, maybe even killed." Alex didn't have an answer. He looked toward the Valen ship, its surface gleaming under the afternoon sun. For all their advanced technology and otherworldly presence, the aliens seemed almost vulnerable now, trapped between their past and an uncertain future. "We stick to our mission," he said finally. "We never kill humans. That's our line. No matter what happens, we don't cross it." Emma nodded, though doubt still lingered in her eyes. As the wind rustled through the trees, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest choices were yet to come. The tension in Willow Creek reached a breaking point the following day. Jake Miller, fueled by fear and frustration, decided it was time to take matters into his own hands. He gathered a group of townspeople who shared his distrust of the Valens, armed with tools, crowbars, hammers, and even a few hunting rifles. They marched toward the alien ship, determined to confront the glowing beings once and for all. "We can't just sit around waiting for them to attack us," Jake shouted as they approached. "If they're hiding something, we need to find out now." Alex and Emma saw the mob coming from a distance and hurried to intercept them. "Jake, stop," Alex called, raising his hands in a gesture of calm. "This isn't the way to handle this." "Out of our way, Alex," Jake snapped, his voice sharp with anger. "You've done nothing but protect them since they got here. How do we know you're not one of them?" Emma stepped forward, her tone firm but steady. "We're trying to keep everyone safe, including you. If you go in there guns blazing, someone's going to get hurt. Is that what you want?" Jake hesitated for a moment, but the angry murmurs of the crowd behind him pushed him forward. "We're not leaving until we get answers," he said, gripping his crowbar tightly. Before anyone could react, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. The Valen ship hummed louder than usual, its surface rippling like water disturbed by a stone. One of the aliens emerged, its glowing form brighter than before. It tilted its head, studying the hostile group. Then came its voice, clear and steady in their minds. "You seek answers, but violence will only bring harm. Save your lies." Jake yelled, pointing at the Valen. "We don't trust you." Suddenly, another figure stepped out from behind the ship, a second Valen, but different from the others. Its glow was darker, more erratic, and its movements were jerky, almost aggressive. The peaceful Valens recoiled, their forms dimming as if in fear. "Traitors," the new Valen hissed, its voice harsh and jagged. "You abandoned your kind. Now you hide among these primitives." Chaos erupted. The rogue Valen lunged forward, its body crackling with energy. People screamed, scattering in all directions. Jake raised his crowbar, ready to strike. But Alex grabbed his arm. "Don't," he shouted. "Let us handle this." Emma moved quickly, pulling a small device from her pocket. She aimed it at the rogue Valen and pressed a button. A bright flash of light burst forth, momentarily blinding everyone. The rogue staggered back, its glow flickering wildly. Taking advantage of the distraction, the peaceful Valens surrounded it, their combined energy forming a barrier that trapped the rogue in place. What just happened?" Jake stammered, lowering his weapon. His face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead. "That," Alex said, breathing heavily, was exactly why we've been telling you to stay calm. Not all Valens are peaceful. Some still cling to their violent past. The rogue Valen struggled against the barrier, its voice filled with rage. You think you can stop us? More will come, and when they do, none of you will survive. Emma glanced at Alex, her expression grim. It's worse than we thought, she whispered. They're not just coming for the peaceful ones. They're coming for all of us. The crowd stood frozen, fear etched on every face. For the first time, Jake didn't argue. He looked at the trapped rogue Valen, then at Alex and Emma, his anger replaced by uncertainty. What do we do now? He asked quietly. We prepare, Alex replied, his voice firm. We fortify the town. We work together, not just humans, but the Valens too. They may have secrets, but right now, they're on our side. Emma nodded, turning to address the crowd. We don't have much time. If we want to survive this, we need to put aside our fears and work as one. That's the only way we'll stand a chance. Reluctantly, the townspeople began to disperse, some heading home to gather supplies, others staying to help reinforce the area around the ship. Jake lingered for a moment, watching as Alex and Emma coordinated with the peaceful Valens. Finally, he muttered under his breath, I hope you know what you're doing. As night fell, Alex and Emma stood near the ship, their exhaustion evident but their resolve unshaken. The rogue Valen had been contained, for now, but the threat looming on the horizon was far greater. Alex glanced at Emma, his voice barely above a whisper. We've crossed the point of no return. She nodded, her jaw set with determination. Then we fight. Together. The hours that followed were a blur of activity. Alex and Emma worked tirelessly alongside the townspeople, preparing for the inevitable arrival of the hostile Valens. The peaceful aliens helped where they could, using their advanced knowledge to strengthen the defenses around the ship. They created barriers made of energy fields, transparent walls that shimmered faintly in the moonlight, designed to repel attacks without causing harm. Emma spent most of her time studying the rogue Valen, who remained trapped inside the glowing barrier. Its movements had slowed, but its presence was still unsettling. She approached it cautiously, holding a small scanning device in one hand. Why are you here? She asked, her voice steady despite the knot of fear in her stomach. The rogue's glow flickered erratically as it responded. To reclaim what is ours. Your kind cannot protect them forever. Reclaim what? Emma pressed. What do you want from them? It didn't answer directly. Instead, its voice grew colder. You think you understand. You know nothing. Their betrayal brought ruin to countless worlds. They must pay. Emma stepped back, her mind racing. Betrayal. Ruin? What had the peaceful Valens done, or not done, that had drawn such hatred from their own kind? She shared her findings with Alex, who listened intently, his expression darkening with each word. They're not just after these Valens because they changed. Alex said finally. There's something deeper, a grudge, maybe even revenge. And if we don't stop them, everyone here will suffer, Emma added quietly. We can't let that happen. As dawn broke, the town braced itself for battle. Jake Miller surprised everyone by taking charge, organizing patrols and assigning tasks to those willing to help. He wasn't friendly toward Alex and Emma, but he respected their leadership, at least for now. If we're gonna fight, we might as well do it right, he muttered as he handed out tools and weapons. Meanwhile, Emma made a decision. She pulled Alex aside, her green eyes filled with determination. I need to disable the ship's core reactor, she said firmly. What? Alex stared at her, stunned. That'll strand the Valens here permanently. Without their ship, they won't be able to leave when this is over. I know, Emma admitted. But if I don't, the hostile Valens will use it against us. It's too dangerous to leave operational. Alex hesitated, torn between logic and compassion. Finally, he nodded. Do what you have to do. Just be careful. Emma entered the ship alone, Navigating its glowing corridors with care, the air inside felt alive, pulsing with energy that seemed to hum in rhythm with her heartbeat. She found the reactor room deep within the craft, its core glowing brightly like a miniature sun. Kneeling beside it, she began to work, her fingers moving quickly over the control panel. As she worked, a figure appeared in the doorway. It was one of the peaceful Valens, its form dimmer than before, as if weighed down by sadness. "You seek to destroy our vessel," it said softly. Emma paused, guilt washing over her. "I'm sorry," she replied, "but I can't risk letting your enemies use it against us, or anyone else." The Valen tilted its head slightly, studying her. "We understand sacrifice. If this is what must be done, so be it." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She turned back to the reactor, finishing her task just as alarms began blaring outside. The hostile Valens had arrived. Rushing back to the surface, Emma saw flashes of light in the distance, ships descending rapidly through the sky. Their shapes were jagged and menacing, unlike the smooth curves of the peaceful Valen's craft. Panic spread through the town, but Alex's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay behind the barriers. Hold your ground." Emma joined him near the edge of the square, clutching a weapon she hoped she wouldn't have to use. The hostile ships landed with a deafening roar, and dozens of dark glowing Valens poured out, their forms crackling with violent energy. One of them stepped forward, its voice echoing like thunder. "Surrender the traitors, or perish." The explosion left a silence so heavy it felt like the world itself was holding its breath. The once shimmering alien ship was now a smoldering ruin, its glowing core extinguished. Smoke rose into the early morning sky, curling like ghostly fingers before fading into the air. Alex stood frozen at the edge of the square, his eyes fixed on the wreckage. His hands trembled as he lowered the weapon he'd been holding. Behind him, the townspeople stared in stunned disbelief, some crying softly, others too shocked to move. Emma was gone. There was no denying it. She had sacrificed herself to save them all. Jake Miller stepped forward, his face pale and streaked with dirt. For once, there was no anger in his voice, only quiet respect. She did it for us," he said hoarsely. "For all of us." Alex didn't respond. He couldn't. His chest felt tight, as if an invisible weight were pressing down on him. Emma's final words echoed in his mind. "We never kill humans." She had lived by that creed until the very end, ensuring that no innocent lives were lost, even at the cost of her own. The peaceful Valens approached slowly, their forms dimmer than ever, almost fragile. One of them knelt beside the remains of their ship, its glow flickering faintly. "Your companion has given much," it said softly, its voice tinged with sorrow. "Her act will not be forgotten." Alex swallowed hard, forcing himself to speak. "She believed in protecting humanity, and in helping you." He turned to face the aliens fully, his voice steady despite the ache in his heart. "But this isn't over. If you stay here, you'll need to earn their trust. All of them." The Valen nodded. "We understand. We will share what we know, and we will contribute to your world. It is the least we can do, for her sacrifice." Over the next few days, the town began to heal. The hostile Valens hadn't returned, their ships vanishing as quickly as they'd come. Whether they'd been destroyed in the blast or retreated remained unclear, but for now, Willow Creek was safe. People worked together to rebuild what had been damaged during the battle, and slowly the fear that had gripped the town began to fade. Alex took charge of negotiations between the humans and the remaining Valens. Together, they drafted a new agreement. The aliens would stay in Willow Creek, sharing their knowledge and technology while learning about human culture. In exchange, the townspeople promised to treat them fairly, setting aside their suspicions and working toward peace. It wasn't easy. Some people still struggled to trust the Valens, and Jake often voiced concerns about whether they truly intended to keep their promises. But Alex reminded everyone of Emma's sacrifice. She gave her life to protect us, and to protect them. he said firmly. If we turn our backs now, her death means nothing. Lily Harper visited the Valens often, bringing them small gifts like flowers or drawings. Her innocence seemed to bridge the gap between species, and the aliens responded warmly to her kindness. Watching her interact with them, Alex felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humans and Valens could find a way to coexist. As weeks passed, the Valens began contributing to the town in meaningful ways. They helped farmers improve crop yields using advanced techniques, assisted doctors with healing technologies, and even taught children about the stars. Slowly, the fear that had once divided them transformed into curiosity, and then understanding. One evening, Alex stood alone near the ruins of the ship, staring up at the night sky. The stars twinkled brightly, reminding him of Emma's determination and courage. He whispered softly to himself, repeating the words she had always lived by. We never kill humans. They were more than just a promise. They were a reminder of why he continued to fight. For Emma, for humanity, and for the fragile hope of a better future. Months passed, and Willow Creek began to feel like a different place. The scars of the battle had faded, replaced by new growth and fresh beginnings. The townspeople worked alongside the Valens every day, learning from each other in ways no one could have imagined. Farmers marveled at how crops grew faster and healthier thanks to alien methods, while doctors used Valen technology to treat illnesses that once seemed incurable. Even Jake Miller softened over time, often seen chatting with the aliens about tools and machinery, a shared interest that bridged their differences. The children of Willow Creek became the heart of this new relationship. Lily Harper led the way, teaching her classmates games and songs she'd learned from the Valens. In return, the aliens introduced the kids to simple lessons about the stars, showing them constellations through glowing projections they created in the evening sky. For the first time, fear gave way to wonder, not just for the children, but for everyone. Alex remained a steady presence in the town, ensuring that trust continued to grow between humans and Valens. He often thought of Emma, especially on quiet nights when he sat alone under the stars. Her sacrifice weighed heavily on him, but it also drove him forward. Every time he saw a child laughing with a Valen or heard someone express gratitude for their help, he felt her spirit alive in those moments. She had believed in peace, and now so did he. One crisp autumn morning, the town gathered in the square for a special ceremony. A memorial had been built near the ruins of the ship, a simple stone engraved with words chosen by Alex, in memory of those who gave everything to protect humanity and hope. Beneath it was a smaller plaque dedicated to Emma, with a single line beneath her name, "We never kill humans." As people stood quietly around the memorial, Alex stepped forward to speak. His voice carried across the crowd, calm but filled with emotion. "Emma taught us something important," he said. "She showed us that protecting others isn't just about fighting. It's about making choices that bring people together instead of tearing them apart. That's what she died for. And that's what we need to live for." The crowd murmured in agreement, some wiping away tears. One of the Valens approached the memorial, kneeling gracefully before it. Its glow brightened slightly, as if paying respect. Then it spoke, its voice soft but clear in everyone's minds. "Your companion's courage saved not only your kind but ours as well. We will honor her memory by continuing to build bridges, not walls." After the ceremony, life in Willow Creek returned to its rhythm, but with a deeper sense of unity. Schools began teaching students about interstellar diplomacy, blending human history with stories of the Valens' journey. Scientists collaborated with the aliens to develop sustainable energy sources, inspired by the technology they had salvaged from the remains of the ship. Slowly, the town became a model for cooperation, a beacon of hope for a future where species could coexist. At night, Alex often found himself gazing up at the stars, wondering what else lay beyond Earth's skies. He thought of Emma, imagining her smile if she could see how far they'd come. Though she was gone, her legacy lived on, not just in the lives she'd saved, but in the bonds she'd helped create. "We never kill humans," Alex whispered to himself one evening, his breath forming faint clouds in the cool air. It wasn't just a promise anymore. It was a way of life. A reminder that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, compassion and understanding could light the path forward. As the wind rustled through the trees and the stars twinkled above, Alex allowed himself a small smile. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but for the first time in a long while, he felt hopeful. Together, humans and Valens, they were building something extraordinary, something worth protecting.